All right, welcome back to the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast, recording at you live from Radiator Springs, which means we watched Cars by Pixar. I'm Zach.
I'm Gary.
And I'm excited about this one. I really am.
I am too. Yeah.
I just watched it today. When did you watch it last night?
I watched it last night, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Neither have I. I remember it used to that the DVD that we have, because we watched it on DVD.
Yes.
I want to get out there how we watched it each time. Although it is on Disney Plus.
Is it?
And if we decide to do 2 and 3, I believe they're on Disney Plus as well. So that'll probably be the route that we take.
If you force me to watch 2. I heard that 3 is fine.
2 is not good, but I heard 3 is good.
Right.
So I feel like we might have to break through that wall of 2 in order to get to 3.
Sure. I guess I could take one for the team and watch 2.
That'll be ways down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed rewatching it.
I did too. I actually forgot how much I really enjoyed the movie.
It was done by Pixar.
Yeah.
This was the last movie done by Pixar before they were bought by Disney.
Really?
Yeah, so this was the last fully independent Pixar movie.
I thought it was because they're fully independent. Yeah, because Disney. I saw Disney in the credits in the beginning.
Yeah, so after this movie, or it might have been during this movie, but this was like the last of like the original Pixar's. Also, the last Pixar movie to be on VHS and the first Pixar movie to be on Blu-ray.
Wow.
So very transitional.
Wow, really?
Movie
Yeah.
in 2006.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Directed by John Lasseter.
John Lasseter, sure, yeah.
John Lasseter and Joe Ranft was a co-director.
Okay, whatever.
Starring Owen Wilson, Bonnie Hunt, and Larry the Cable Guy, as well as a ton of other smaller roles.
Yeah, there was a lot of
very famous
people. Famous people. Yep, totally get that.
Did you check who Ramon was?
No.
Cheech.
Oh.
From Cheech and Chong.
Wait, Ramon but what about the guy the
Volkswagen bus?
Yes.
You know who that is?
Chong?
No.
No. No, wait, don't tell me it's George Carlin.
Yes.
Okay.
Which he's not screaming at me about something political, so I didn't catch that it was that it was George Carlin at first.
I thought it sounded like him, but I wasn't sure, and I thought maybe they used a sound-alike.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Cheech and Chong originally.
Yeah.
Because it would have made sense. But
right.
Poor Chong didn't get a place in the movie. Didn't get cast.
Yeah.
You know who Chick Hicks was in the movie?
Chick Hicks was
green race car, of which my friend Austin, he actually races dirt track oval racing, and has he's number 86, and his car is identical to Chick Hicks. He calls it Chick Hicks. He legit races Chick Hicks.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's. I don't know what kind of car that is, but yeah, is it Monte Carlo or?
Yeah,
like a Monte Carlo-ish or whatever.
Well, it says here Buick Grand National.
Okay.
A
Grand National.
Yeah, that sort of square body Chevy.
I've driven a Grand National.
Really?
Oh yeah.
One of the first turbo American cars.
When they first came out, a friend, her dad worked for GM or something.
Oh, I have heard this story.
Yes, I got to drive it. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine used to race them. But yeah, that's pretty. It's a pretty cool car. I didn't know it was Grand National.
So who's Chick Hicks?
Chick Hicks was Bill Cosby. Is that close? Am I close?
Not
to
even. It's Michael Keaton.
Michael? No.
Yeah. Man's got range.
Yeah.
Another actor who's got range is Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Going from the. Did we talk about that last time?
Off air we talked about it up in the kitchen. We
talked about
the range of Michael Keaton
because he's like the funny boss in The Other Guys.
Yes,
where he also works at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yes, which is awesome.
He's Birdman. He's the bad guy in Spider-Man.
He was Batman.
He was Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man's got range.
Yeah, he was
Michael
Mr.
Keaton,
Mom.
Which, interestingly,
amazing.
Spoiler for Cars 3, they cast Chick Hicks as someone else.
Really?
Someone else voiced Chick Hicks for the third one.
Kachiga.
Which I was like, that's a terrible catchphrase.
Ka-chow.
I mean.
All right, so yeah.
Yeah. But And then the last what?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The last notable cast member I want to talk about was Doc.
Yes.
Who is voiced by Paul Newman.
Paul Newman, yes.
Very famous actor.
Yes.
Started his career in 1949.
Wow.
Passed away in 2008. So this was his last feature film.
Really?
Yes. And he's very famous for being into autosports.
Yes.
Racing.
Yes. Exactly.
He actually won a couple SCCA events around here, interestingly.
Yeah.
A lot of Road Atlanta stuff.
Wow.
A couple Mid-Ohio events. I was reading his wiki article. Mid-Ohio is about 5 hours east of here.
Okay.
Pretty prominent track and part of the Grid Life series that we participate in the summers. So he used to race Nissans, 280Zs, 300ZXs, Z31s. And actually, Adam Carolla collects his cars. So Adam Carolla, he used to do Loveline, all that stuff.
Oh, sure, all that's
he actually collects Paul Newman Nissans.
Wow.
And actually did a documentary about Paul Newman called Winning the Racing Life of Paul Newman, which I think is something we should actually look into.
Yeah,
I would be interested in getting into documentaries.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about that before, but you're right. I think documentaries would be an interesting subject to take a look at because there are a ton of documentaries, and we could actually even do and this is interesting too because remember I think I probably got you guys interested in the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car.
Oh.
And now who brought the electric car back to life is Elon Musk, but
they did make a sequel to Who Killed the Electric Car.
Did they?
Of which I have not seen.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
And I don't even know the subject matter. I just saw a poster for it. But Who Killed the Electric Car might go to the top of my list of something we should look at next.
Yeah, it's really a great... I have not... I remember seeing bits and pieces of it. I don't remember watching the whole thing together, but it was a really, really good documentary and really sad in a lot of ways. And disappointing that in what happened, but also interesting in the resurgence of electric cars.
Right, yeah.
So all of that. So
no,
it's
definitely we should touch on that. And actually, it was funny. I was up in Detroit a couple of days ago, and I was at a museum with a friend. I was reviewing his smart car and stuff like that. And he was talking about, he's like, his ultimate dream car would be an EV1.
Oh,
and we were just chatting about it, and I realized I've seen 2 of them.
Have you?
I've seen 2 EV1s.
Did they have one at in L.A.?
Yes.
Okay.
At the Peterson.
At the Peterson Museum, yeah.
Which I wish we would have spent more time at the Peterson. We kind of ran through it.
We did go through fast.
We walked through fast, and I wish.
Yeah.
That's one of my. It's funny. That's on my bucket list to go to the Peterson, even though I've already been there.
Yeah.
It's like I want to spend like a day or 2.
Well, and then you can, if you go to the vault again or whatever, I think they call it the vault. If you go again, it'll be different because they change up the cars all the time in the vault. So that's an interesting thing. They have a place called the vault.
Yeah, it's a
special thing. Yeah,
it's essentially a parking garage.
It is.
But it's like the most expensive, the most prestigious parking garage ever because it's like. There's like Bugattis from like the 30s down there.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's amazing so cars.
I'm going to do a series on my channel about museums.
Okay.
Museums that you should visit and kind of do like a quick overview and stuff.
Well, that's good because you're going to own one day. So you're going to own
hopefully for tax reasons.
But, right, exactly, yeah.
But the other EV1 that I saw was at the Henry Ford.
Oh, really?
Which would be probably the first museum featured in my series because that's the first one I actually filmed. I filmed footage for this series last October. I haven't done anything with it.
For the museum series?
For the museum series that I want to do. And they had an EV1 there. They had a red EV1. I think
that's
10
very
left.
cool. Yeah, it's as you know from the story that a lot of them were destroyed.
Yeah. But we should probably save that all for that.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Just never mind. I just
said Who Killed the Electric Car.
Right. And right. And I think it's fascinating, too, because now, I mean, that was in a time that was out and came out in a time when electric cars, there was no hope for them.
Well, was the EV1, was it 2001 or was it 99?
I don't know. I think it was 99. It was at a time right before Elon Musk and the whole...
Right, yeah. Because the Tesla Roadster was like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit before that. Yeah.
And that really was, as I know it. And remember, we have a lot to talk about with electric cars because we were part of the electric car club briefly.
Yeah. Back in what?
Back in, gosh.
2008, 2009?
Maybe. You guys were really young.
Back when these were basically Geo Metros with golf cart batteries under the hood.
And pickup trucks with big, like the whole bed filled with standard lead acid batteries, and then the whole thing.
Safe.
Yeah, exactly.
But
super heavy.
Yeah. That's a great. I think we should definitely do Who Killed the Electric Car.
Yes, that would be a good one. I don't know where it is. Do you have it? I don't know if we have it.
You know what?
Yeah.
We did have it.
We did?
It was. Maybe I could sign into our iTunes account. We bought it on iTunes.
Oh, did we? Oh, we did. You're right. We did. We bought it on iTunes.
It must have been like 5 computers ago at this point. Like it was this was back when iTunes came out with video. Like iTunes was actually a place you could go and buy videos.
Yes. And I remember buying it on iTunes. You're right.
And we had one episode of The Office.
Yes.
Where it was Michael's typing into the computer. I love you, Long Tim. That episode where he's doing the text-to-speech at the beginning, because that's just like ingrained in my head. I could do that whole scene in my sleep.
I'm sure, yeah.
We had that, and then I think we had The Incredibles on iTunes.
We could have.
But that was
possible, yeah.
We had we 3
didn't have many.
movies.
No, we didn't have many.
Because that was at the time where the video iPod came out.
Yes.
The actual video iPod.
Exactly. And I thought, and the reason why I bought the EV car, or the Who Killed the Electric Car?
Yeah.
The reason why I bought it was actually to keep you guys occupied, because I thought if we were somewhere or on a long trip, you guys could watch it because it's a really long documentary.
Yeah.
And I thought you guys could watch that while, we were on the trip or whatever. And it was before we had the DVD player and the Pacifica.
Yeah. So this. Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it was even before that. So as far as I recall.
Yeah. Wow.
So very interesting, but
we'll definitely do that. Let's get back to Cars.
Let's get back to Cars.
Pixar, as we just digressed for about 10 minutes.
Right. So before anything else, I just want to say about this movie, how fakey was this movie? Cars that can talk, God.
Oh, the realism. I mean, this is the least realistic movie that we've talked about. It's even more unrealistic than Fast and Furious.
I don't know. That's
you know what? I honestly believe a talking tow truck more than I believe Vin Diesel. Just when it comes to anything.
Yeah, I do too. I think, pretty much.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on the movie?
So,
having rewatched it with sort of fresh eyes here.
Yeah. So my thoughts were, I think the main thing was what an awesome story. I mean, it's a very nice story. Obviously, it's a very, it's a very, how do I put it? It's a movie that obviously is a family movie and all of that, and it has a great story about being selfish. And a great character arc of the main character going from being this selfish, self-centered, ungrateful person, or car, I should say, just really wanting all the attention on himself, and then going and finding these wonderful people in this little town, and really, I think the thing that really grabs me is how much he makes the character makes the turn to a decent person who looks out for other people first and really cares about other people. And I love the whole love story between him and the Porsche.
Which
I
actually
fun.
Sort of forgot about.
Really?
Yeah, I sort of forgot about that portion of the movie.
Well, and it, there's a technique in movie making where in the beginning you show the character's current life. You show them what their thoughts are, what their typical day is, where they are at that point. And it's funny because when he begins his whole pre-race mantra where he's talking about I am lightning, I am fast, I am speed, and all
of this
stuff.
Which is a very big meme among car people.
Okay.
There's a meme where it's like when kids buy their first Honda Civic and it just cuts to Lightning McQueen that says I am speed.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so he's focusing on that, and it's great because in the beginning of the movie it makes perfect sense, and this, he's psyching himself out, and he is, awesome, and he's like audacious and all this. And then at the end where he's, you come back to that same
world.
You come back to him at the end of the movie, and now you see him, and you see the change where he's going through his mantra, he's going through his, he's psyching himself out, and he keeps thinking about Radiator Springs. He keeps thinking about other people. He thinks about the good, fun stuff that he's left behind, and so it's not just about him anymore. And you can see it, just at least even in that alone, you see that it's not about him anymore. And so to be honest with you, I was really emotionally involved in the last part of the movie.
Yeah, me too. I really got goosebumps a couple times.
And I did too. I did when, we should just start out every podcast with spoiler alerts, because the fact is we are going to.
Oh yeah, I mean that should be
given.
Should be well known. Yeah.
So, but when he, I think really first goes back and, a couple of things. When he goes into the grass and he's learned how to do off-roading, basically.
How to drift.
Exactly. Yes. How to countersteer.
Really.
Exactly.
Which you taught me in a snowy pool parking lot.
Did
in
I?
Our pickup truck
Okay.
I think I had my permit.
Yeah, turn.
And you were like, just hit the gas and watch what happens. And I was like, oh, but if I turn the wheels this way, I don't hit the curb.
Well, and it does take, and it's funny because that was realistic. It does take experience where you actually have to do it. You actually have to try it and experience it and then work on it and practice it. But once you get it, you get it. And it makes total sense. And so to see him doing that, so that was kind of cool. And then I have to say, one of my very favorite parts of the entire movie is when the little pit stop guy.
Oh, Guido,
pit stop. When he changes the tires so blindingly fast that all the other, I think they're forklifts.
Yeah.
But the other forklifts literally drop their bumpers and stuff.
No, their mustaches.
Oh, their mustaches.
That's their mustaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they all drop off because it's such a thing. It's such a David versus Goliath moment where he is so good. He's better than any of them could ever possibly hope to be. And they are just amazed at it. And to me, that's like, oh yeah, you go, you do it. So I was just, I love that, I love that part of it. And I love that whole idea of him being able to show off, even though he wasn't really even showing off. He was just doing what he does really well.
Right.
And his friend was like, "It is now your time to shine," or whatever.
Guido and Luigi are two of the best characters in the movie. They're
tremendous.
Some of my favorites. They were my favorites as a kid too.
Yes, I agree, and so I love the fact that they love Ferrari so much.
Oh yeah,
it's just
and then
awesome.
Michael Schumacher comes in later.
Yes, exactly.
He's a Ferrari 430 or something.
Yeah, I think so, something like that.
But yeah, he's like, "Could you hook up a couple of my friends with tires?"
Yeah,
that's a great moment too.
Which is just awesome.
Actually voiced by Michael Schumacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dale Earnhardt was one of the voices.
Nice.
Very good, of course, Richard Petty voices the King.
Yeah.
And his wife in the movie is actually voiced by Richard Petty's wife.
No.
Yeah. So
wow. Okay, that's very cool.
It was really, really cool because. Yeah. And we'll talk about later, but the two car announcers.
Yes.
I have somewhere in my notes. They're from Car Talk.
Yes, the Rust-eze guys.
The Rust-eze guys.
Those guys are from Car. They are the Car Talk brothers. They're the Car Talk guys.
And their quote of "Don't drive like my brother" actually made it into the movie, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So a little Easter egg. Yeah, go back.
But the other thing too about the end is the fact of obviously he helps the king. What?
I said spoiler.
Spoiler. He helps the king.
Right.
He stops and he goes back. And it is the most obvious and yet the most wonderful. Okay, I've learned my lesson. It's more important to help somebody else and to help someone, especially if it's the last race, because obviously he really respected Doc, really respected him, as a fantastic, really held him in high esteem. And then so he pushes the King over the finish line, which I thought was absolutely awesome. And then for the chick Hicks to be like, hey, why isn't everybody paying attention to me? I won the race. And it was like, then you realize, wow, it really truly was not about the race. It was about this amazing thing that this guy did, even though yes, his sportsmanship, and I love the quote about it's just an empty cup.
Yeah.
I really do think that was really cool.
The Chick Hicks part caught me off guard, and I actually had a good chuckle when they shoot the confetti at him.
Yeah.
Say, hey guys, where's the confetti? And then he just gets shot.
And they blast him. They blast him with it, which is awesome. And he's like, hey, come on.
I thought that was a great
movie. They just toss it. Yeah.
Going off of that, tons of humor.
Oh yeah.
Tons of this has to be Pixar's most outside reference films, if that makes sense.
Probably, yeah.
Because every little thing, even the little insects in the movies are little Volkswagen bugs.
Yeah, Volkswagen bugs.
It's
Volkswagen
just
Beetles.
Everything's a little reference.
Yep.
Even the hills in the background.
Yes.
Cadillac Ranch.
Yes.
In Amarillo, Texas.
Amarillo. Yeah.
Amarillo.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything was a reference to something.
The first couple of times that I saw the movie, I didn't notice the mountains in the background that were all shaped like cars. I also, for a while, didn't get why the Radiator Springs, why the main hill looked like a mushroom, and it's a radiator cap.
Yeah.
It's an actual radiator cap, which I didn't get before.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So now I finally, now that I'm 50-some years old.
Tons of stuff. I mean, a lot of the trivia is going to touch on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But even the Lizzie in the movie
is
the Model T,
right,
which was nicknamed when the Model T actually came out, the Tin Lizzie.
Yes, exactly.
So that was a reference. It's
just
the amount of references to car stuff is insane and just so fun to watch as an adult.
Yeah.
It really is a movie that spans all ages.
It's amazing
you can be
how
any age and enjoy it, but enjoy it for different reasons.
It's amazing. It is a super, super rare movie that can do that. Very few movies of any kind, animation, it can span the generations like this movie can and does.
It reminds me almost a lot of the movie Elf.
Yeah.
In that respect, where it's I can watch this with, say Bella's youngest brother,
right,
and he would enjoy it,
right,
or I can watch this with my current aged friends.
Oh yeah, definitely,
and I can watch it obviously with my parents, and everyone enjoys it.
It's
rare to find in a movie like that.
It is very, very rare, and it is in fact because we actually at work joked about it, and we made an Elf Christmas one year. We had giant cutouts of Buddy and all that, and it was great. But again, you could take kids and watch the movie, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It just really, you're right. You really hit the nail on the head with that one, because that's one of the rare ones that you could, and that's why that's like a movie you want to own, because
which we do, I believe.
Which we do.
Somewhere.
We do. There's few, we don't own a ton of movies, but the ones we own are the classics.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's just so interesting, to me, as I'm sort of thinking about this in real time here, with Elf and with Cars 2, or Cars the movie, not Cars 2, I think it's a good mix, at least comedically, of visual comedy, and actual theoretical comedy, like the references to Tin Lizzie, or the bumper sticker on the Porsche. That's funny to adults. But Mater,
the tramp stamp, you mean?
Mater pulling Lightning McQueen or tipping the cows over and farting.
Yes.
That's hilarious to the kids too. So there's just so many different levels of comedy and story that I think is really interesting. It pays off for everyone.
Well, and one little thing that adults would get, and maybe kids would get it too, but when the husband and wife are traveling through Radiator Springs, and they come up to Lightning McQueen, and he's like, I'm a race car, and I need to get out of here. And you see them both, and they pause,
Yeah.
And then you hear toot toot, where there's a little beep beep where the doors.
Yes. That's them locking
That's
the doors.
them locking their doors. Yes. It's them locking, which I thought was brilliant because
I just thought of that because we've all been in the city and
they're like
we hit the locks on the doors.
Lock them up, kids. Yeah, and that is really, I thought it was a brilliant addition, and it was so simple. That
just made sense to me right now.
We're gonna lock our doors, beep beep, and they just kind of stare at them. That's quiet, and they just like click
just
click,
stare and smile and lock the doors.
It's like okay, we're gonna keep moving now. So which is great. So, but again, every scene has something like that, and if you're a kid, you might get that reference, but probably not. But you'd still laugh at the thing.
Yeah.
You could still enjoy every scene in the movie. And the romance between the two is very sweet. It's very nice. I mean, what's not to like about stuff like that?
And I think another thing that I wanted to touch on, because the reason we started this podcast is because I'm very into cars and you're very into movies.
Yes.
And I think watching it as a car enthusiast, it's really, really rewarding because they really did their homework.
Yes.
Pixar, from what I've read, and I've read a couple of bios and stuff about the director, they weren't car people.
Yeah.
It's not like the creators of Fast and Furious, like Paul Walker we talked about with the Fast and Furious episode, he was a car enthusiast.
Right.
But everyone at Pixar wasn't really car enthusiasts. So, but they really did their homework to get stuff spot on. They picked the right people out of the community, like Paul Newman, like the guys from Car Talk, like Richard Petty, like Dale Earnhardt.
Yes.
They got these big names, and they got, prominent people in the world, and they got a lot of references correct.
Right.
They made a lot of references, and they got the references correct.
Yes.
I don't think there's a single scenario in the movie Cars where that is equal to the Danger to Manifold scenario from Fast and Furious.
Well, you're right.
There's nothing in the movie that's just random car jargon thrown together to please the mouth breathers, but not people who are into cars would pick out.
Although there is one that I picked up on. There is one.
Interesting. Okay.
There's one flaw. Now, not to that degree.
Okay.
Not to that degree. But when Lightning McQueen is first in the impound, and Mater is going to take him to the court to stand in front of the judge.
Yeah.
He has a boot on the front wheel of his car.
Right.
When Mater hooks him up, he hooks him up from the back.
I noticed that too.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, he's just going to drag this one tire.
Yeah, but right. So he would have, if he truly was going to do that, he would have hooked him up from the front because he had the lock on the front wheel.
But I guess technically Lightning McQueen would be a rear wheel drive car, so you're supposed to pick it up by the rear. So you don't blow out the differential.
Okay, so that's fine, except for he's still right. He still has the boot.
So there's still a discrepancy there.
So
cancel Cars. That's our next social justice warriors. We're gonna take down the movie Cars for misusing a parking
boot. Because I cannot believe.
And the parking boot's back on when they leave the courthouse, so they must.
Yeah.
Also, how do they do it without hands?
Oh, that is a big thing that they. Yeah.
That's the thing. You can really dive deep on the internet about cars conspiracy theories.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we'll find out later.
Is it about handless people or something? Or
no. So we'll find out later. There's a spin-off movie called Planes.
Yes. Right. So, which I never watched. But
neither did I. Yeah. But in that movie...
I think 12 people did, by the way.
Yeah, probably. Well, 12 children.
Right.
That was like a true kids movie.
Yeah.
But there's a World War II scene. There's a World War II flashback.
Oh.
And was it Sarge in the series is a Willys Jeep with military numbers on it, and his license plate is a reference to World War II in 1941.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
So.
All right.
And in later movies, there's a car Pope.
A car Pope?
Pope, who's riding in a Pope-mobile that's also sentient, but that's a whole nother thing.
Okay, well, interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
This idea that in the Cars universe,
yes,
there was World War II.
Oh.
Meaning that there was a car Hitler. Theoretically, I mean, like going with the, but also,
well, I guess
in another later one, there's a scene of Mater going through TSA at an airport.
Oh, really?
Heavy security.
All right.
That's a result of 9/11.
True. Okay.
So in 9/11, were the planes sentient?
Yeah, true.
Was it just terrorist planes, or were they hijacked by cars? Right? I mean, like, this is like wormholes that people go down. And, I mean, it's a slippery slope.
People need a hobby.
I mean, that should go without saying.
Yeah.
But, there's tons of conspiracy theories. Yeah. There's another one about how Cars is actually in a dystopian, like, something happened to humans, and somehow cars have gained life through nuclear fallout.
Oh, my gosh.
And they've taken over.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Why do the cars have door handles?
Ooh.
Huh? Why would the cars have handles?
You got me there.
Yeah.
You got me.
So we're not going to dive into the conspiracies because I think this would be a 5-hour podcast. But, I don't even know why I started telling you about that. But
I don't know. I mean, I think one of the Pixar does a great job. Something just flashed in my head, but we're talking about The Incredibles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pixar does a good job of spanning generations with their movies.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Story, The Incredibles, Cars. Those are all 3 movies that anyone of any age could watch.
Right.
And really enjoy. And there's little bits and pieces in each one of them. There's some adult humor that, like the car guys were talking about frozen nuts, basically. And But they never say it.
Right.
They're about to say it because it's a rhyme, and so adults would put that in there.
Right, yeah.
But they never actually say it. So, but as you're talking about the different universes that these movies exist in, there are different, and that made me think of how Pixar has been able to take stories that go through generations. Which is another thing that we were talking about too, is the fact that this is now a 15-year-old movie,
which is crazy.
This
is one of those movies that I think of, and I don't ever view it as an older movie.
Right.
I was 9 when this movie came out.
Yeah.
9. I wasn't even 10 yet.
Well, and here's the thing. The animation still holds up perfectly.
Oh, yeah. It's really good.
Unbelievable how, because a 15-year-old movie, animation in a 15-year-old movie, that's a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, especially like I don't really have any animation movies to quote on.
Yeah.
But CGI.
Yes.
Especially.
Yes.
CGI,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
In special effects and we've come a long way.
Right. I mean,
15 years, but for this it holds up really well. And I have a couple trivia points about the animation.
Okay, let's get to that.
Do you want to get into it?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, actually, first of all, we haven't even talked about what cars are in the movie.
Oh,
yet.
That's true.
I have quite the extensive car list.
Wow, good.
A lot of these cars aren't real. So they're Lightning McQueen isn't a real car.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out when I was watching the movie, what a car would be.
He's
kind of Corvette-ish.
That's what a lot of people say.
Okay.
Is like the main...
Yeah.
Which...
Ish.
Which, did you catch the Corvette joke?
Yeah.
Which I thought was hysterical.
Well, about the girl or the girl car?
Sally, the Porsche, falls in love. And she's talking about Radiator Springs. But Lightning McQueen's standing there all self-conscious. And he just goes... Corvette.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Corvette, huh? I thought that was awesome, and again, a really good, because that's such a incredibly wonderful psychological joke.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
because a Corvette is this big, muscly, cool guy, sort of thing. I mean, it's very much like an alpha car.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. Yeah, it's an alpha male car.
Where in all reality, Corvettes are.
I'm not a huge fan of Corvettes myself, and that's just the way it is. But
I have respect for them. I think they're cool, and I want to review all of them. But they just don't. They don't do it for me like they do it for other people. Like people are Corvette fanatics.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there's a movie, Corvette Summer, with Mark Hamill.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that our next movie?
No, it's not. It's not. But
You've been hinting at our next movie for like the last 3 days.
Which is going to be great. Yes, exactly. It's going to be fun.
We might have to write that down. Corvette Summer.
Summer.
Does it have to do with cars or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Mark Hamill's character. And I've never seen the movie. I've seen bits and pieces. Again, I tend to do that. I tend to watch bits and pieces. But Mark Hamill's character. It's a coming-of-age story.
Okay.
Okay. But he gets a Corvette out of the junkyard, and he rebuilds it over a summer.
Been there, done that.
What's that?
I said been there, done that.
Okay, yes. But what's funny is that he takes this thing that's a hunk of junk, and by the time he turns it out, it's so incredibly over the top that you're like, all right, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, probably a blower out the hood.
Yeah,
and like
well,
there's
an incredible hood like scoop mechanism, and it's crazy thing.
Probably a cowled hood.
Yeah, it's just when you
then
see.
Does he take it to Dagobah?
I don't know, but I mean, obviously it was after the first Star Wars movie, so he got popularity there. But it is, and it's one of the rare movies where you see Mark Hamill in as in a starring role besides Star Wars, where and then it's all Corvettes. So yes, I agree. I like Corvettes. So don't get me wrong, I like Corvettes just like what you said, but it doesn't do the same thing for me that other cars do. That to some people, like you say, Corvette enthusiasts, that's the end be all end all, and I get that totally. I get that. There are certain cars like I'm not as into some of the like the Subarus and things like that. I mean, I like Subarus, but I'm not like I'm not that into those.
Yeah.
What?
No, I
am not. There's certain cars.
There's certain Subarus that I would definitely want.
Well, okay, so like the WRX, okay?
Yeah. Ooh, a good STI.
I know that you really like that, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not
That's fair.
And it's not that I don't like the car. I just there's something about it that I don't.
The main thing is that we grew up in different eras.
Yes, absolutely.
Growing up, I had the video game Dirt 2.
Oh, okay.
Remember Dirt 2?
Yeah.
The star car was Ken Block's Subaru WRX STI hatchback in 2008.
Okay,
and
wow.
that is one of the cars that I dream of.
But we talked about this before about cars that you grow up with. You tend to stick with. And
I
you
did
get
not
these...
grow up with domestic car. I mean, besides our truck.
Yeah.
That we ownership wise, we had the truck and we had the Taurus and we had the Pacifica.
Yeah.
And the G6, those are all domestics.
The Taurus, which I referred to as the space shuttle, because that thing was very weird.
What was it, 95 Taurus?
I think so, but it was like an eggshell. It was literally like the shape of an
bubble generation.
Bubble, and it was like everything in it was oval.
Yeah,
it was bizarre.
But when I grew up, domestics weren't really cool.
Right.
Japanese cars are cool.
Right, absolutely.
And that's why the Japanese car market is so insane right now.
Yeah.
Because everyone my age grew up with Gran Turismo. We grew up with Forza Motorsports.
Right.
We grew up with Dirt 2.
Yeah.
We grew up with, all these video games. And, of course, going back to our second episode, Fast and Furious. Those were all Japanese imports for the most part besides Dom.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you weren't an egg-headed, beefed-out, roided-out guy, then you drove an import. Which he even drives an import in that movie.
I know. He does, exactly. And then, I know he changes in the rest of them. But we go back to the idea of it's important what you grow up with because, for me, the 308 GTB, the Lamborghini Countach, I mean, those were the cars. Those were the supercars that I grew up with. To me, those were really, really cool. I grew up in this late 70s, early 80s. So really the 80s cars. And to me,
still some of my favorite cars.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the 80s cars, there were, except for the Dodge Monaco, The Dodge Monaco
Which
to me was
a 70s car.
Yes, but that was, to me, it was a staple in my life.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't too much excitement for me with 80s cars, but the 70s muscle cars were still very cool back then.
Oh, yeah.
And then my friend, he was the only guy in school that had a cool car, had a Trans Am.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very, very cool Trans Am. It was a cool paint job. In fact, we made a movie with his car and for our senior project because it was the coolest car we could find. And we asked him about it, and we said, hey, can we, use your car in this movie? And then we put a quote-unquote fake computer in his car.
Which now, my real-life car has a computer in
right,
it.
it's not even...
it tells me the weather, and it tells me directions and where my parking space is.
Yeah, we were very advanced for our time. But, so...
Which is also funny, I just caught that you've always called it you made movies as a kid.
Yes.
Where I say we made videos as a kid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell anyone I made movies when I was younger, but I made a lot of videos.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which is an interesting distinction.
It is. Because I actually made Super 8 films.
Yeah.
So it was, I just always considered those being movies. And then I never really, when video became prevalent, I never wanted, or I always thought of videos as being something that's not a story-driven a story-driven medium. I thought it was more of instructional video.
Yeah, how to
that's
change
what I
your
did.
light bulb.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Video's more of, you don't make a video, but you got, like you said, you guys make videos, and you did, and those are story-driven. So for me, I was.
Now it's my income.
I was, yeah. Well, I always refer to as movies. You're right.
Yeah. So getting back to cars.
Sorry. Yeah, of course.
It's terribly sidetracked. So let's go through the car list of the movie Cars. Again, these are sort of rough estimates because this is a fictional world. These cars are drawn.
So let's go back to Lightning McQueen. You said
a lot of people say Corvette.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally don't really see Corvette.
Really? Yeah. More Chevy-ish?
I really don't see much.
Interesting.
It's very race car-ish, with the fin on the back and the fake headlights and all that stuff. But I think it's, I guess maybe a C5 Corvette, so a late 90s, early 2000s Corvette, sure.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Nowadays they're just so angular. And I also want to say for all the Corvette fans out there, I drove the Corvette Zr1, which is the supercharged Corvette, top of the line. It was a C6.
Yep.
So 6th generation, fantastic car. I mean, fast as all heck, insanely fun to drive.
I have nothing against Corvette.
But then I got out of it a car of which a close friend of mine says, he's that's the end-all be-all car. That's the one. That's my dream car. And I was like, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun day. I got to rip on, a 575 horsepower factory-built Corvette with a supercharger. Great.
Well, yes. And but I'll tell you, there are a lot of people... when I was in the when I had my Mazda RX-7, my 1980 Mazda RX-7, and I love that car, as you know, but there's a lot of people that would go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And same thing.
It's just,
it's fair.
It's just all different tastes.
Right.
So, finally getting into the car list. I don't really have McQueen.
Yeah, I don't know if you could.
As anything.
Yeah.
Chick Hicks is based off a 1987 Buick Grand National NASCAR racer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, which it's basically he's just a GM square body. I believe they're G bodies is actually the platform.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Monte Carlos, which is actually what my friend.
That's what I was thinking of.
Races.
Yep.
It's a Monte Carlo G body that he dirt track races. That's his Chick Hicks.
There were many models of that car that were very similar.
Yeah. So that's all the G platform.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like G body or F body.
Okay.
So the F body Camaro was the 90s Camaro.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But also that Trans Am.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yes,
exactly. So that's an F-body Trans Am.
Okay.
So it's just sort of the platform. So the G-body was this older square body style of cars, which we don't really use that term anymore.
Yeah, true.
But definitely 80s and early 90s, it was a very prominent platform. And for dirt track racing, they're known as late models, I believe.
Okay.
Which is funny because back in the 80s, they're oh, these are the newest things.
Right.
So they called them late models, and then they've just never progressed past them.
Okay.
But yeah, the King is a 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Super iconic with the nose cone and the big wing.
Yes.
There's a guy out
Super
in Indiana
Bird, awesome,
I follow on TikTok who has one of those, and I want to hit him up so bad for a review.
So
that would be
insane.
What's up?
So isn't that very similar to the Challenger or the Charger? Charger.
Yes,
Charger.
same exact thing.
Okay.
Same exact thing.
Yeah, but with the nose and the
it literally just has a nose cone, which it still has cutouts for the headlights.
Really?
Yeah. And then the giant wing on the back. One of the first cars, I think it was the first domestic car to hit 200 miles an hour.
Really?
Yeah. And so that was one of those homologation. What?
No, it's funny because I was just watching Speed Racer and his speedometer was at 300 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, anyway.
Yeah, they pushed the bounds there a little bit.
We're talking about animation in cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Superbird was one of those homologation things. So for homologation rules for a lot of racing classes, Group B Rally was the same way. You have to sell a certain amount of cars to the public in order to enter it into a race.
Oh.
It's normally about 500.
Yeah.
So like Group B Rally was a rally series in the 80s.
Okay.
And so when Audi wanted to use their Quattro system, their four-wheel drive system that ended up dominating the class, they had to sell at least 500 of them to the public.
Huh.
So that's why we got these cool Quattro all-wheel drive cars, is just so they could use them in rally championship.
Wow, that's cool.
And there's even stories of companies, bringing the inspectors over and just rolling out fake shells of cars.
Yeah,
and saying, hey, look, this is because some classes only required 10 of them to be sold to the public.
Wow.
So they'd build 3 of them, and then they'd be like, hey, these are shells. Don't pop the hoods on these.
Yeah.
The same trick was used when the AC Cobra came out.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the old AC Cobra, obviously?
Absolutely.
There was only one of them, I believe.
Really?
And Carroll Shelby loaned it out to a bunch of magazines, but he would take the car back, paint it, and send it out to another one. So all these magazines were reporting on different color. They all had magazine pictures of different, quote unquote, different.
They had Ramon spray painting them in a different.
At Ramon's shop in Radiator Springs.
Right.
They all had articles about different colored Cobras.
That's funny.
And so people were like, wow, he's got, they're selling these things.
Yeah.
But it was literally one car, which I think was being restored, and they were like, it had 10 layers of paint on it or something. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, just dumb tricks like that. So the Plymouth Superbird was one of those things.
Yeah.
So
cool
you
car.
could buy
Very
one
cool.
as a regular person, but they're stupid rare. They go for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, I'm sure. They are, but like you said, they're iconic. There's no way
that rear wing. There's
and the
just
nose
like it.
That was a crazy thing.
Mrs. the King, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
Mater calls her Mrs. the King.
Mrs. the King,
is a 1974 Chrysler Town and Country station wagon, modeled after the car in which the Pettys drove themselves and their children to the races during the 1970s. So they actually worked with the Petty family.
Wow.
Just a fun Easter egg of like if we ever get cast in a movie, like they're gonna make, I don't know, our family like a G6, a Pacifica, and a white Dodge Ram.
I was gonna say a white Dodge Ram. Yeah.
But Mack is based off a Mack Superliner semi-truck. The character was originally supposed to be a Peterbilt, which there's actually a joke about.
Yes.
Where he comes, he's like, Mack? He's
Mack
like,
is
I ain't no Mack, I'm a Peterbilt.
Right, exactly.
It was actually changed because the director's father drove a Mack truck in Chicago.
Oh.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah,
but,
exactly,
I thought that was a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Mia and Tia are modeled after the first generation Mazda MX-5 Miata, which they are the 1.6 liter engines.
Are they?
So they are pre-94. So they're either a 90, 91, 92, or 93 because they have the Daisy wheels.
Wow.
Which only came on those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very specific.
I'm just saying, they're only 1.6s. They're not that big old 1.8.
Yeah. All right.
Hot rod of an engine.
Well, then,
it was also a dog of an engine.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So not that exciting to see them flashing their lights.
Yeah, no. They only have a 1.6, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Dusty Rusty's is a 1960s Dodge A100 van. His brother Rusty is a 1963 Dodge Dart. So those are the car talk guys.
Yep.
And I thought it was funny because the 1960s Dodge van, that's the previous generation of the Dodge van that was in Cannonball Run.
Oh,
it was just an older version.
Wow,
of that
we're
van.
connecting things together.
We're really connecting dots here.
Yeah.
Sheriff is a 1949 Mercury Club Coupe.
Very cool. Very cool, by the way. I would love to see or ride in a real one.
Yeah.
Doc
is a 1951 Hudson Hornet two-door coupe. I thought that was one of the few cars that actually gets a name.
Yeah.
Because it actually is the fabulous Hudson Hornet,
right,
which was a real race car.
Yeah.
Which is very, very interesting that they threw that in there.
Very, very interesting. Yep.
Fillmore is a late 1960s Volkswagen microbus. Gotta love that. And I love how his license plate is a goatee.
Exactly.
It looks like a goatee.
I was going to tell you.
They somehow made a car look like a person. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. When I first noticed that, I was like, it's like a goatee. I didn't notice that
as a kid.
I didn't either, but I noticed it this last time watching it. I was like, that's like a goatee. That's perfect. Yeah. So,
Sarge is a 1940s Willys MB military Jeep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ramon is a 1959 Chevy Impala.
Really? Yeah, I was wondering which. I was wondering what that was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 60.
This was a 59.
59 Impala.
59 Impala, which is super popular with lowriders, which is what he was with the hydraulics and stuff.
Yes, I used to have a 69 Chevy Impala.
Okay, yeah, that's
that's why I kind of
so 10 years later,
right? But I kind of have a place in my heart for those Impalas. Yeah,
the new Impalas are terrible.
Are they?
God, they're
I've
horrible.
not even seen.
Yeah, they're so bad.
Seen those, so
I just really dislike. Well, I think they're discontinued. So
okay. Well, good then.
Luigi's a 1959 Fiat 500.
Yeah,
he's a little Fiat 500.
I'm wondering what that was too. Yeah.
Mater's a 1955 Chevy stepside tow truck.
Interesting. Yeah.
Sally's a 2002 Porsche 911 Carrera, which is the 996 generation.
A 2002.
A 2002.
Okay, well, so it's like a couple years old by the time the movie came out.
Yeah. So the movie started in 1999. The pre-production of it started in 1999.
Wow. Okay.
It came off of a road trip that actually the director's wife forced John, I forget his name now, John Lasseter?
Lasseter? Yeah.
Because he was spending too much time animating and working on Toy Story. And Finding Nemo came out right before this. Pixar movies take a long time to make.
Yeah.
So I'm even surprised that it's a 2002, which is funny because the 996 generation has gone down in history as one of the ugliest generations of 911s.
Really?
It's my favorite because that's what I grew up with.
Again, yes, exactly.
I think they switched it in 2007. So like you're talking about my real boyhood years. Like I grew up with this generation. Obviously, we knew someone that had this generation of 911.
Yes.
And I got to ride in it and stuff like that.
I never got to ride in it, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never got to ride it.
I remember riding in our court. Like we did like we drove in a circle.
Yeah, but still, you got to ride it. I didn't. So it's cool.
I just drove a 986 Boxer a couple weeks ago. Which is like the same body style, but it's the convertible, and it's a little bit different.
Right. Well, my brother had a 72 or 76 Porsche.
Yeah, which I believe is a 96. I think he had a 964 turbo, which is like to me that's one of my end all be all cars at the moment.
That was an amazing
964
car.
Turbo.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing car. Yeah. It was like driving on rails. It was like
throw some thick tires under that thing and just
that was an amazing car.
I think my next project car is going to be something air-cooled.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Whether that be a Bug or Bus or Carmen Ghia.
I would be all for a Bug. I love the Bug.
That's part of the trio that I haven't driven yet.
Oh, really?
I drove the Bus and I drove the Carmen Ghia from the 70s.
Carmen Ghia's cool too. I like
73
that
Bus, 73 Carmen Ghia.
Yeah.
Both in orange, factory orange.
Wow. Okay.
And I need to find a Bug. I need to find a Bug.
Yeah, I would like to do a project car. Excuse me.
Oh, jeez. God bless. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless.
I would like
my
to do
Italian out there. God bless.
Yeah.
God bless.
Capiche?
Capiche.
I would like to do a project car of a VW Bug. I would love to do that.
Yeah, someone asked me on a question and answer video I did a little while ago. They're like, what other project car would you want? And at first I was like, I really only want rotary project cars. But then I was like, actually having an air-cooled, so simple. No radiator, tiny little fan. rear engine. You can work on everything with like a wrench and a cup of coffee. Like something like that would be really, really fun.
And I love simplicity. I love simple cars where basically it's like a lawnmower engine in the back of the car.
Oh no, it seriously is. Like
it's tiny.
Because I haven't worked on any air cooled, but I've filmed 2 of them, and like I really get into those engine compartments for the shots.
Yeah,
there's nothing in there.
Right,
it's nothing.
Right.
And driving an air cooled Volkswagen, it just feels different than everything else.
It does.
It just feels very, very different.
Yep.
Everything feels purpose built. Everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the German part of it. I don't know if that's the Volkswagen part of it. I don't know if that's the air cooled part of it. But it's just like. They're so easy to drive.
It's funny because I can smell the car as you talk about it. I can smell the car. The car has a very distinct sound and smell.
Yeah,
and a feel to it.
Because
they
were all carbureted too.
Yeah.
Well, at least.
I would imagine. I don't know.
Probably, I believe past the 80s they were fuel injected, but they're still air cooled. Air cooled ended in '93 for Porsche. They made air cooled cars up until '93.
Wow.
I believe when they switched generations to the 9, I don't want to get misquoted here, but I believe it was 93 that they switched, or it was 97. I can't quite remember at the moment.
Yeah.
But what I always think of, and especially like when I drove the first gen Mustang or the Triumph TR6 that I drove.
Oh yeah. That's a cool little car.
I always just think of a wristwatch. Whenever I'm driving it. It sounds like there's a million tiny little gears and ball bearings and latches and switches that are making that engine. It sounds very mechanical.
I think every VW Bug actually comes with a German engineer in the trunk.
Yeah.
In the hood. Or
his
whatever,
name's Vlad. Yeah.
Vlad.
In the trunk area. Yeah, in the front trunk area.
I was going to say the front trunk, yeah.
Yeah, and he just has a little sausage worth, which...
Yes.
I recently found out that Volkswagen actually manufactures their own bratwurst.
What?
What? No, currywurst. It's currywurst.
Currywurst.
You can't find it here in the States. So when I go overseas, which I'm starting to think about more and more, there's a Volkswagen part number. Like, so you could type it in, and if you type in a certain amount of numbers and letters, it'll come up with a door handle, or it'll come up with a switch, or it'll come up with, just part numbers things. Okay. But if you type in this certain part number, it will come up with currywurst, and you can buy currywurst straight from Volkswagen.
Wow.
It's in Volkswagen packaging, and you cook it up and you eat it.
It is like bratwurst or like a knockwurst or whatever? Or
something like that. I don't. The Germans be on some wild sausage stuff, but
okay. Well, that would be fun. That would be good. But I do. I would, getting back to that, I would definitely, a VW Bug would be like the coolest car to work on.
Super easy to rotary swap if you can run a radiator. They sell a swap kit for $600.
Yeah.
And it actually hooks a 12A or 13B up to the stock transaxle.
Okay.
So you don't have to switch the transaxle. You don't have to switch the transmission. Mm-hmm. It literally just bolts the rotary engine up to it. Or a very common swap nowadays is Subaru Swaps.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Make it full circle about you not really caring about Subarus.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Because all of the air-cooled engines were flat 4s or flat 6s. And the only company, to my knowledge, that still puts flat engines in cars is Porsche and Subaru.
Interesting.
Subaru, all of their vehicles are flat engines. They're either flat 4s or... I don't think they manufacture any flat 6s anymore. Okay, well... Toyota, I guess you can say, has a flat 4 in one of their cars, but it's really a rebadged Subaru. It's a Subaru engine. It's just in a Toyota badged car.
Okay.
So,
and how does it relate to Cars movie?
Lightning McQueen was in the R&D. Would you like to get into trivia?
Sure. Let's hit some trivia.
What are we at time wise? How are we doing?
We're at 58 minutes.
We're at 58 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought that was like 25 minutes.
No, we've been talking.
All right, so trivia.
Trivia.
I'm gonna try to hit these kind of quick because.
All right, the answer is no.
Okay.
16.
Well, these aren't like these are just
left
like fun
side.
facts.
Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And as we always say, not sponsored by, but directly pulled from IMDb.com.
Good.
Or is it .org?
I don't know.
IMDb.
I think
Google
it's IMDb.com.
Or Bing it. Sponsor us, Bing.
You're heavy with that. You're really pushing for that.
I'm trying to get sponsors, man. I'm trying to make money.
It's good. Excellent.
So, number one.
Yeah.
Even with a farm of computers that ran 4 times faster than the ones used on The Incredibles and 1,000 times faster than the ones used on Toy Story, each frame of this movie took, on average, 17 hours of processor rendering time.
Each frame?
Each frame.
17 hours.
Right. So they had a whole rendering farm, obviously.
Yeah.
Which just blows my mind to try to organize.
Right.
I'll be rendering one video on my computer, and I'm like, where'd it go? Trying to organize machines just for rendering sounds like a nightmare. But yeah, each frame took about 17 hours. So that just goes to show part of the reason why this...
Why it holds up?
Well, no. Well, yes, why it holds up, but also why it took so long to make.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you think about it, I mean, Sally, the Porsche, getting back to Porsches.
Yes.
That was the cutting edge Porsche 911 when they started rendering the movie. And when the movie came out, the new 911 was coming out.
Okay.
Which is kind of nuts to think about.
Well, and remember, too, that there are 24 frames per second of film.
On average,
On average, yes.
Yeah. I assume it was 24 for the... I don't think it was 60.
Yeah, for films...
Right.
Yes, it would be 24 frames. It's generally the one. That's generally the number. But so 24 times 17 hours. It's just an incredible amount for a second, 1 second.
Well, also, I didn't write it down, but I saw this when looking on IMDb.com. For a while, up until The Incredibles 2, this was the longest Pixar movie there was.
Really?
And The Incredibles 2, I believe, beat this movie only with its credit sequence. So just because of its credits, it was longer than this movie, which is insane.
That is insane. I remember back in the day, back before, really before you guys were born, well, actually before you were born. So around 95.
I was born in 97.
Yes. Okay. I think so.
I think,
really? For you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember it, so.
Yeah. It's, but... I remember I learned 3D Studio, which was a 3D animation program.
Okay.
And it was it was a $5,000 animation program. And I remember talking to someone and I said, someday, because at the time, there was only bits and pieces and little clips that people were making 3D animation with. And I said to someone, someday they will make entire movies using 3D animation.
They said, "Shut up, Gary."
Yeah, exactly. And I remember that saying that, oh yeah, but that'll be way off in the future and stuff like that. But yeah, and so there you go.
What music video in the late 80s had animation in it, but it's such terrible animation?
It was the very first, I think it was. No. It wasn't the very first video show.
It should go without saying, never quote this podcast. Just anything we say on here. We're sitting in a basement in the Midwest. No, we're in Radiator Springs.
No, we're in Radiator
Springs. We're in Ramon's shop in Radiator Springs.
We're in Pixar Studios.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Steve Jobs.
Right. No, gosh, what was I saying?
What music video was the first animated?
It was I Want My MTV.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
was Money for Nothing.
Money for Nothing. Yes. Money for Nothing. One of the best driving songs, by the way.
Yeah.
And I saw it.
Gosh, yeah.
I saw it on YouTube
song,
or something. Yeah. I saw the music video, and I was like, oh, this is some fan did, some 8-year-old heard this song and hopped on his computer and animated this up.
No, that was...
And then I found out, oh, no, this was a production team. This was
yeah, this was... That animation that you were watching was big-time high-tech at the time.
That was blowing minds.
It was like, oh, my gosh, look at that. They have this... and that was actually created on a computer. And that was the thing, is it was created on a computer.
Right.
But... and then, fast forward, you have a movie like Cars, and it just literally is completely mind blowing.
Yeah.
It could be that incredibly involved.
So a couple more trivia. Well, we actually have a lot of trivia to get through.
Okay, let's go.
The production wanted to use a little known version of the song Route 66 by Chuck Berry, which had appeared on the B-side of one of his singles.
Really? Okay.
So
yeah.
they approached Barry's record company,
Yes.
which didn't know anything about such a version of the song.
Wow.
After they trawled through their records and vaults, they realized that Pixar was right.
Huh.
So Pixar went to this record studio and was
Wow.
like, hey, we'd like to use this song. And they're like, hey, that doesn't exist. And Pixar was like, no, it does. Double check. And then the record studio went, oh, you're right. We do own this.
Wow.
If I was Pixar, I would have been like, oh, my bad. And then been like, guys, run the song.
Exactly. Like
they don't even know it exists.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't exist.
You're right. It doesn't. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist at all. No.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Of like Pixar being like, no, it exists, and they're like, oh, okay.
Well, and honestly too, it really obviously the movie really makes me want to drive Route 66 now. There's no doubt about it that I really do want to do that someday because we live in the Midwest, and so Route 66.
We're right at the start.
We were
I was
right
on
at the
Route
start.
66 for a slight moment today.
Were you?
Because out in Joliet, there's a there's a portion of it, and I use it to get onto the highway. I mean, now it's just like any other road.
Right, but it says historic Route 66.
Yeah, there's the signs
so
and stuff.
you know where it's
at. Honda Superstore Joliet. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah.
Shout out. Honda Passport.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is so it is doable to drive, and you will find along the way these bits and pieces. In fact, I'm thinking it might be something that we should do someday is to, maybe get a RV.
Yeah.
And you could drive your...
Shout out Robin Williams.
Yeah. Well, you could drive the RX-7, and I'll drive an RV behind you.
Okay.
And we can do Route 66.
So when it breaks down, we'll just throw it on the trailer?
Or just trailer it until the next spot, until we can get it fixed
or whatever.
I'll
just take pictures at Cadillac Ranch and then toss it back on the trailer.
We can have Adam. We can call on Adam to fix it. So, but...
Yeah, no, that'd be great. This movie definitely made me want to go on Route 66.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm wondering if after the movie came out, if they saw a big surge of people taking Route 66.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because this was, when it came out on DVD, they sold 5 million copies, I believe, in the first day or two.
Really?
It was like insanely well received. And it's held its value, like we've been saying, ever since then. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. And it is, you're absolutely right. And it is true, that story of they flattened or they went through hills.
Yeah.
To actually speed up and save, like you said, an extra 10 minutes in their trip. But at the same time, you lost the nostalgia of all these roadside places.
Yeah, and all these little tiny, roadside hotels and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the curio shops or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is. So building that into this movie was a brilliant stroke of genius. It was really
story, like a B story or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Of just talking about sort of losing the magic, and then the scene that kind of almost made me emotional was the neon scene where they turn on and they're all like driving.
Life Could Be a
like
Dream.
Dancing.
Yeah. And I think
such a great scene.
Is that song by the Ramones? No,
I don't know. I mean, I know the Ramones is a band. I don't know.
Well, now that I think about it, the Ramones did
Blitzkrieg Bop or whatever.
No,
did they do that though? 24 hours to go.
I Want to Be Sedated.
I Want to Be Sedated. Yeah.
Yes, the Ramones did this. I Want to Be Sedated. But when that song starts, Life Could Be a Dream, they light up the sign that said Ramones, and that's what made me think that maybe it was, but it's not. It's totally not. But anyway, one thing about that too in that scene, what I realized at one point was the fact that Flo's actually looks like an engine, and it's got the pistons that hold up the... I know you're probably going, yeah, duh.
No. So, no, I have a trivia thing about this. Go on.
So the pistons hold up the roof over the gas pumps.
Right.
And there's spark plugs above those pistons, and that is really, truly how it goes in an engine. That's...
You want to know how much attention to detail they have?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
You know how the spark plugs are flashing?
Yes.
The spark plugs, this is one of the trivia facts. The neon lights on Flo's V8 Cafe flash in the proper firing order for a Ford flathead V8.
Wow.
Which is the engine that came right after our Model A. The 1932 Ford debuted the flathead V8. which is the Bonnie and Clyde engine, which is pretty much our Model A engine, but doubled.
Okay.
Because ours has a flathead inline 4.
Yes.
So that's the attention to detail that I was
amazing.
talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That like non-car people actually did their research.
Yeah.
And the spark plugs on top of Flo's V8 Cafe are flashing in the correct firing order of a flathead V8. That is something that no one would ever notice.
Right.
But just makes the world so much more real and so much more interesting and rich.
Well, and if you think about it, all of those people working all of that time, spending all of that effort, animating and, 17 hours rendering each frame. Yeah, hopefully they're going to be paying attention, but some places don't, especially nowadays. There's
I was
a lot
going to say, well, Fast and Furious did not. I mean, they,
Yeah.
I was going to say Cannonball Run didn't, but that was shot in 36 days.
I thought you were going to say 36 minutes.
Well, no. Well, pretty much. Cannonball Run was filmed in the same amount of time that it took them to animate one of those spark plugs flashing. They didn't even get a whole sequence yet.
It's probably true. I mean, it's probably
insane. But it's funny you actually noticed the pistons.
I did.
And the spark plugs.
I did, and the fact that it was flows and there's a big V and flow as in flowing, like fuel flowing and all of that. So very cool.
Speaking of flow, though, she's not a real car. She has like.
Oh.
I read a thing. It was like an entire paragraph of like, oh, she has accents from a Mercury. And I was like,
oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, so she's not actually,
she's not real. But getting back to trivia, Sally the Porsche's profession as an attorney is a reference to Portia, Portia, a nickname for female lawyers named after the character in one of Shakespeare's plays.
Really?
Merchant of Venice. There's a character named Portia who's a lawyer in that play, and that's become synonymous with female lawyers.
Wow.
Of which Sally the Portia is.
Okay, so here's the question then. And that's great. I mean, that is a bizarre and very specific, wonderful piece of trivia. Now let me ask you this. Do you know how she got her name Sally?
No.
No idea either.
Oh, okay.
I wish
that was a legitimate question, not like a legitimate. I thought you were going to stump me there.
Yeah, that was a legitimate question where I'm saying I have no idea. But I'm surprised that she wasn't a Mustang because Mustang Sally was a great song. But anyway. Yes.
I wonder they had to have licensed it then. I would assume. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, none of the other cars had badges on them, so it's like.
Right.
They probably, obviously, but they actually reference that she is a Porsche. Because Lightning McQueen in the movie's like, what brings a Porsche out here or whatever.
Right.
Yes, I wonder if they had to, I assume they would have to license that. Late 90s, Porsche was kind of throwing around their name a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there was a Need for Speed called Need for Speed Porsches Unleashed.
No.
And it was just Porsches in the Need for Speed game.
And the Need for Speed games, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For some reason, when you said that, I thought, when you said Need for Speed, I thought Too Fast, Too Furious. That's how my brain clicks between the two. But
Shout out Craig Lieberman.
Right.
We've shouted him out every episode since.
We might as well shout out every year.
We just need to work him into everything until he comes on this pod.
I'm just going to say his name, Craig Lieberman.
I say it in the mirror before I go to bed.
Okay. That's okay. Maybe disturbing. I don't know.
3 times the lights off. In hopes that he'll appear and answer my questions about the RX-7.
Okay. All right, yeah.
Doc Hudson's dismissal by the racing community in 1955 has some basis in history. Hudson Hornets were a popular and successful choice for stock car racing in the early 1950s due to their low center of gravity, which gave them excellent stability on dirt tracks used at the time. However, Hudson used an older flathead technology in their engines, and by 1955, GM, Ford, and Chrysler had all developed more powerful overhead valve V8 engines. Consequently, Hudsons were no longer considered competitive.
Gotcha.
In 1955.
Okay. Well, and that goes to his story about where he's talking about
crashes in 55,
and then by the time he makes it back and is fixed, then he's like not
right. Yeah,
he's
no longer competitive.
Right.
So that actually holds.
That is
again exhibit like X.
Yeah.
Of just the amount of research.
Yes.
The cars
thought and all
of
that. Yes, exactly.
A little bit of Michael Schumacher info.
Okay.
Michael Schumacher Ferrari, voiced by
Yep.
Michael Schumacher, speaks Italian to Guido, saying, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. It's all in Italian.
Okay.
But it translates to, I hope your friend recovers. I was told that you were fantastic. And that's when he collapses over, which I always found rather disturbing as a child.
Why?
Because just the way they flip over, it's so quick. It's like a snap when Luigi and Guido fall over.
Right.
And they just seems like they have such a low center of gravity that not to say
you were looking at the physics of it as a kid. You're like, wait a minute.
Trash as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And then also another side part of this, Michael Schumacher recorded his lines for the movie in 4 different languages.
Oh my gosh.
English, German, French, and Italian.
Wow.
Which, again, super short lines.
Yeah.
But I love when the movie uses the same actors.
Yes. Agree.
For international versions. I
Yes.
just think that's really cool.
Yes. And you have some trivia about that, don't you?
What?
About different people being used for different voices in different lands, or different.
What are you alluding to?
I'm alluding to Lightning McQueen's agent.
Oh, I didn't even write that down.
No, okay.
So, this is super interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, his agent, was it Hal?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Possible
Dave
reference to Hal 9000,
I don't-
maybe? 2001
Shout out to
Kill me, Dave, or whatever it is. Or
Kill me, Dave.
What's the line?
No.
Are you happy, Dave?
No, it's Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't
yeah.
let you to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
And then he starts singing Daisy, which was
Yeah.
the first song ever sung by a computer in the 1960s.
Really?
Yeah, it's super creepy to listen to.
It is very
It's
creepy.
been going around as a sound on TikTok.
Yeah?
Because it's very unsettling. Because it's a 60s computer voice, and people have played that song while just showing footage of like abandoned Kmart's or like abandoned malls, and it's the most unsettling video.
There's something really weird about a computer singing,
especially
for some
in the
reason.
60s, because the video of it is like black. It's black and white, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like this giant computer, and it's like Daisy. It's weird.
Yeah. Very, very creepy. But yes.
Anyway,
so
Hal
or
Lightning
whatever.
McQueen's agent, I forget who he's played by, but for the British version,
yes,
they actually got Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear, now Grand Tour, to be McQueen's agent, and his lines are actually different.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know why they would do that, because they didn't change any other actors.
Hello, Governor.
Hello. Lightning
Really?
McQueen. Better tea.
Lightning McQueen, eh?
Oi.
Oi.
This road is messed up, isn't it? Yeah. They didn't change anything else, and obviously the story still takes place in America, whatever. They just changed his agent, which I thought was really interesting of a choice.
That is very interesting, and and normally too, and I don't know if they did this for this movie, but normally in animations they record the voice actors first.
Right.
So I don't know if they did that, and the nice thing is with the animations, technically, you can say whatever you want to say, because again, the agent actually you never see the agent. He's just over the phone.
Just over the phone, yeah.
And so they could say,
he could
say
freeze
whatever.
frame it and say whatever he wants.
Right, exactly.
Interestingly, so I was reading some trivia that I didn't write down, of course. In the third movie, there's flashbacks to Doc Hudson.
Oh.
However, the guy who voiced him, Paul Newman, passed away right after the first Cars movie.
Yeah.
So the third movie actually uses unused lines from the first movie.
Really?
So they kept the recordings, which made me think of what was the movie about blimps that we watched a long time ago, and the movie slowly becomes color, and there's a floating head, and it's not like The Day After Tomorrow or something. It's like a gritty, like, New York movie, and it's all like airships.
Okay.
Do you not?
Was this a dream?
No.
Did you have a dream and you're like, yeah,
I took 8 Tylenol and went to bed, and I thought of this.
And then I was running in through a pool of marshmallows, and I couldn't run any faster.
Was a movie.
Yeah.
It had like airships in it and stuff.
Had airships and.
I remember.
Well, you might be thinking of
I remember you specifically pointed out that one of the actors in it had died.
Okay.
But like during their filming of it or something of the sort, and they just used lines from another movie to have him be in it.
Oh, gosh, who was it then? That's interesting that you mentioned.
That's gonna bother me. All I
that's
remember is
fine.
like air raid sirens, and the movie starts off black and white in New York, and it has the big zeppelins and stuff.
Well, I'm trying to think of what that would have been, what movie that would have been, because that's a really very specific thing.
I know.
Why I can't remember that, I don't know.
I mean, I remember you telling me about it, so we'll think of it
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting that for docs, they later used these unrecorded lines.
Well, and now here's the thing too, is that we're reaching a time in history where things like deep fakes, which is the ability to actually map someone else's face onto another actor's face, is a reality. Also getting very, very close, if not already there, with the ability to take voices and to manipulate voices in such a way that you could probably do a person's voice as well. So we're at a time where you could technically take almost any actor who has died and put them in a movie, which is a very, very bizarre and very creepy prospect. So, I mean, you probably don't remember this, but there's a lot of famous pictures or photographs that were a compilation of things like they would have, it would be a scene in a pool hall, and you would see Elvis playing pool with Marilyn Monroe, and and so you see all these different famous people in the picture.
I immediately just thought of all the dogs playing poker.
Well, there's that too. But now we have the ability to actually make that into a movie. You could have Elvis playing poker with Paul Newman.
I think I found the movie.
What is it?
Let me know if this rings a bell. Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. You're right. That is. I was trying to think of the name, and I couldn't think of the name.
2004.
Yep.
Sci-fi action adventure. Yeah. So it on the cover.
Yeah.
There's like an airship. What the heck is this movie about?
I actually don't even remember.
Oh, you want me to read the plot?
Go ahead.
All right. Wow. Go ahead.
Go ahead
Fine.
if you have to.
Fine.
If you have to.
In a technologically advanced 1939,
yes,
the Zeppelin Hindenburg 3
no, nice, good.
moors itself atop the Empire State Building. That's the part I remember.
Okay, yes.
Aboard the ship is a doctor. Wait, okay, this plot is super long.
Yeah,
wow,
it's
that's
a
like
very
the full plot. Is there like an abridged version?
No, it's a very long, convoluted plot. That's why I don't remember. Yeah,
it stars Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's an example of
It's crazy.
Automation or diesel punk. So there's steampunk. This is diesel
punk. I don't know that. But
man, I remember this movie very vaguely, but like.
Well, because of the look, there was a certain look that movie had,
it flopped.
And that's what you would remember. Oh yeah, well, because you think about it,
budget was $70 million, it made $58 million.
Yeah, well,
it took a $12 million bath.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and if you think about it again, okay, so good example, and believe it or not, I'm going to tie that back into cars.
Wow.
Watch me do this.
Because we should get back on track.
Watch me do this. Okay.
I'm listening.
What is it, Sky Captain?
Which actually came out in 2004, so 2 years before Cars.
Okay, so Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow or something like that?
Let me pull it back up.
Sky
Captain and the World of Tomorrow in my best Mid-Atlantic accent.
So Sky Captain, almost as good as your British accent.
Oi, love.
Isn't that Australian?
What?
Isn't that Australian?
Australians, it's a little different.
Could I have a wee cuppa?
Oh no, that's very British.
I don't know, something like that.
But Australian got it. It's a little bit more in the throat.
A
little shrimp in the bob.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm very good at that, by the way.
So Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Had such a convoluted, twisty, complicated plot that no one probably ever remembers exactly what it was about.
Yeah.
Okay, let's contrast that with Cars.
Right.
Simple plot. Everyone remembers that, and it was a tremendously successful movie. Again, going back to what every filmmaker will say is that the story is the main character in a movie. The story is what everything is about. If you don't have a strong story, you don't have a strong film. It just simply doesn't work out that way. You can have the best special effects. You can have the best, most well-known actors. You can have, you could spend billions on the budget. Some films have, and if you don't have a story that's solid, that grabs people, that is remarkable or memorable.
Thank God you don't do anything with words for a living. God, that was hard.
Words are for losers.
We're gonna take an intermission. We'll be right back.
If it's not memorable, then forget it. So Sky Captain, good example. Yeah. But then you got Cars, and so coming back to that,
that's something I always. So I don't know if it's obvious because we're posting this on a different YouTube channel.
Yeah.
My full-time job is YouTube. Car reviews, videos, car.
Yes. Is it?
It's car videos.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, it's what I've been doing this whole time.
Okay.
Thanks for noticing.
Right.
But a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Hey, I want to get into YouTube. I want to get into YouTube." And I have a couple friends that say, "Hey, I want to get into YouTube." And I'm like, "Great. I think it's a great way to express your creativity.
Right.
Don't expect any money from it for about 5 years."
Yeah.
And I'm finally right at the end of that and actually seeing some money. Which,
and that is, by the way, that is actually true. Like 5 years. We're talking a long time.
Matt Farah, big car reviewer, he said that, and this is when I was starting out, and I was like, "There's no way it's 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some dough."
No,
it's 5 years.
Yeah.
It's 5 years minimum.
Right.
But anyway, people want to get into YouTube. And then they run out, they buy 4K cameras, they buy drones, they buy stabilizers, they buy all this stuff. And it's like, that's great. That stuff helps. But if you're not saying anything in the videos, no one's going to care.
Right.
I could record all of my reviews on an iPhone.
Right. Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't change. The actual equipment doesn't matter that much. That's chasing the top 5% of what's required. That's that's way up there. And that's not even a thing. You have to have a solid idea, and you have to have, in terms of YouTube, you have to have commitment.
Right.
But you have to, like what you were saying, you have to have a solid story. If you don't have the solid story, nothing else matters.
It's exactly
nothing
the
else
same.
matters.
Exactly the same in filmmaking. I used in the very beginning, I used some of the cheapest, crummiest equipment because I had nothing, and I used that equipment and I made movies, and I made movies that had, I think that were very interesting, and I made comedy movies really, but I didn't have great equipment. In fact, I had we didn't have any sync sound, so I had a cassette player that I would record music and sound effects and everything on, and I had to actually try and sync that up as I watched the film play back. It was crazy. so I had all that. Yeah, I did, and I had all.
No, I'm just thinking of. Yeah, you did a short film called Joe's Ammo World.
Yes, well, that was a video.
And there's a fighter jet.
Yes,
you know
there is.
About.
Yes,
and you did the sounds for it.
Yes,
and it was very good until you had to take a breath.
Yeah,
the sound of it was like. Yeah. There's a quarter second where you hear the breath because there wasn't any FX or anything. YouTube now has a full free library of sound effects and music.
Yes, and
that did not exist. Well, it didn't even exist 5 years ago, but it also didn't exist, 30 years ago.
And when I started making videos, it was extremely difficult, time consuming. The equipment was super expensive, and it was really out of reach for the average person to do. Now, you have a cell phone. You literally can make a movie on a cell phone. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
There are libraries of B-roll available for any kind of footage you want.
Anything
there are special effects, sound
and
effects,
even,
music, everything.
iMovie, the iPhone app, isn't as robust as the computer version.
Right.
But it's still very good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
it's amazing, yeah.
It's amazing. And the whole thing, though, goes back to this, the story.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a compelling story, you could shoot it on Fruit by the Foot, which was our joke about that.
Yeah.
You could shoot it on...
That's an old college humor skit.
Yes, an old college humor skit with...
who are they making fun? Nick Cage. Nick Cage is... Yeah, they're literally shooting this on Fruit by the Foot. I love it. I love it. Film it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was our big joke for a long time we're going to shoot this on Fruit by the Foot.
Yeah.
But the whole idea, though, is that if you don't have a good story, you don't have anything. And truly the story is what you have to work at first. You can have the worst equipment, but if you have a great story that's compelling, I've seen people do this because when I had the film festival, we had tons of movies come in from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we had some that were shot on the worst, most shoddy things, but they were compelling. And you really wanted to watch them. And you were like, wow, really drawn into them. And there were others that were very slick, but had no story.
Right.
And it was like, well, that's trash.
Yeah.
So that plays a big part.
It doesn't matter if you film your backyard in 4K or 240p. Right. If you're just filming your backyard, it's going to be trash anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just when it's in 4K, you notice a little bit more.
Yes.
And there's a little bit more color depth.
Right. And if you're going to make a creepy movie, it's got to be in like 240p, and then it's got to be shaky and blurry.
Yeah.
And so that you can say that something happened.
Yeah, Blair Witch.
Exactly. So,
a couple more trivia things I want to hit on, and then I want to wrap up because I want to get to the next movie.
All right.
I'm super excited.
Yep, exactly.
The California governor, Humvee, is obviously a character of the then governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, exactly.
Who was also the first private owner of a Hummer. So he's the reason why Hummer was brought here to the States.
Wow.
Well, I say that because the Humvee was a military vehicle.
Yes, absolutely,
Humvee, and he brought some over. Like he bought some. He had a Humvee H1, and then GM bought the rights to Humvee. Humvee wasn't always a GM thing.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Much like Jeeps weren't always a Chrysler thing. They weren't even always an AMC thing.
Wow.
Some Jeeps back in the day were made by Ford.
Wow.
It was just whoever could crank out parts.
Yeah. Okay.
They were all the same, but some of them came from a Ford plant. It was all for the war effort.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But so then GM actually started selling these Hummers pretty much because of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting. So next time you see one double parked at Whole Foods, say, thanks, Arnold.
Yeah, exactly.
Wish you would have just stuck to lifting weights.
It's
terrible movie lines.
Yeah, but it's funny because you instantly knew exactly who that was and who they were parodying.
Yeah, and Jay Limo was good.
Jay Limo, that was great.
Great. I mean, that's just, like, looking back, like, as an adult, that's so fun to see stuff like that.
Well, and the funny thing, too, is that even though... So, I thought about that, too. Sometimes when you make a movie, if you make a dated reference to something, it doesn't play well in the future. Sometimes people are like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why is that funny? Or why? But... even if you didn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, even if you didn't know that Jay Leno with the big chin and the late night talk show,
it still holds up.
It's still funny. It still holds up because they're using it in such a broad way. It's not a very narrow and precise tool. It's not something that they're doing that's very concise. So. It's a great lesson in, okay, if you want to use something that's dated, you're going to have to be very careful with it and make sure that it ages well. Because there's a lot of things, we've been talking about that, a lot of things that don't age well.
This is a complete 180 from Cannonball Run, where this aged extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Extremely well.
I could show this movie to a kid, maybe 8 years old. Yeah. And they would have as much fun with it as the 8-year-old who watched it in 2006.
When it came out, which was me. I was 9,
So that's the whole thing, is that to be able to do that, absolutely
it's a pretty timeless movie.
It is.
Which actually, I forgot to write this down. The original concept for the movie Cars.
Yes.
Was going to be a gasoline-powered car living amongst electric cars.
Really?
Which is very interesting because 1999.
Yeah.
That's who killed the electric car territory. That's when that movie was made. That's when the EV won.
All right, yeah.
And that's when electric cars were first starting to,
yes.
There was the remnants of it. There was the RAV4 EV that was sold in extremely limited numbers from Toyota. Yeah. The GM EV1, obviously, which we'll talk about later. But one last trivia thing, and then we'll get on with our final thoughts and then close out the episode.
Okay.
I thought this was super interesting. The crowd scene at the Piston Cup showdown at the end of the movie featured 105,000 separately animated cars.
What?
Including 13,000 cars entering the stadium alone.
Wow.
So that opening scene where everyone's coming in and stuff. In total, 105,000 cars had to be animated.
That's amazing.
I assume there was some type of repetition, and I'm sure they're not like, oh, we need a Ford Taurus and we need a blah 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 and we need a blah blah blah. But I'm sure there was duplication like in every movie.
Yes.
But still, just those crowd sequences. I mean, I just want to put that in there just because like. There's just so much work that had to go into this movie. So much work.
Yeah, and nowadays, it used to be that films had, obviously especially bigger films had big crews of people, and it used to be that there would be people that, if you watch the titles, the end credits, you would see a lot of people that were involved in building sets and painting and doing all these different things. And nowadays, it's all computer programmers.
Yeah.
It's literally graphic artists. And
look at any Marvel movie.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I actually remember sitting in the theater, and I love this. This is awesome. I was like the one person that would always stay for all the end credits of a movie. And I remember it came to the graphic artists and literally filled from top to bottom in a movie theater the entire
font size for that
entire screen. Yes, exactly. And so I was just like, yep, we've hit it. We've now hit that mark where it's literally like you've named every person in an entire time. Yeah, I mean ever on the face of the planet, because there's so much involved, and people don't really realize because they think, well, some guy somewhere on a computer made that.
Yeah.
It was a team of people working on different aspects of each image, basically. There's people that do the color, there's people that do the backgrounds, there's people that do the motion, there's people that work on different aspects of it. There's a whole entire line of people that go through that. And it is amazing how much work is involved. But yeah, 13,000 cars?
Well, 13,000 cars were entering the stadium.
Entering the stadium,
in total, 105,000 cars. Which I also read that they had 47,000 concept drawings for the movie.
47,000?
That's what it said. Now, this is where IMDb starts to get a little iffy. I don't know if they had 47,000.
47. That's a lot. I mean,
it's a lot.
But,
we'll see.
Yeah.
So what are your final thoughts? I really want to start to wrap up, and I want to get on to this next movie.
Okay, good.
I'm excited. You've been hinting at it the last
I have
3
been.
days. Anytime I come into the kitchen to make food, you're like,
yep.
Oh, man, the next movie's here.
You have to.
Okay. All right.
You have to understand, I don't hide secrets well.
I know. Well, none of us do.
Yes.
It's kind of a family trait.
We get a big grin on our face whenever we have a secret to hide.
Our family,
we're not. We get total giveaway.
Yeah.
But no, so my final thoughts are truly an excellent movie. Like you said, it ages well. It stands the test of time. It's a classic. It will probably always be a classic. Really amazing animation from a technical standpoint, from a story standpoint, with characters, with character arts, exactly. All of those things put together, just an outstanding, amazing movie in so many different aspects. The attention to detail, the characters, the voice actors, the animation, the effects.
Say a word about Owen Wilson. Wow.
What?
That's it. We didn't say a word about Owen Wilson.
No, I know, which is amazing. Owen Wilson does such a good job at bringing the character of Lightning McQueen to life. Mm-hmm. Truly,
you don't even remember that it's him.
Like no, you don't. No, you don't.
It is its own thing. It's very interesting.
Yes, and that is very difficult to do, especially for someone who has a very distinctive voice like Owen Wilson has.
Right.
So, because he's been in so many different things, and he's a great actor and actually has a good range too, because he can do serious, he can do comedy. And then you also have someone like Bonnie Hunt, who
was she the mom in Cheaper by the Dozen?
I believe she was.
I know her from.
You probably, I think she was. Okay. But she is another one where she has a very distinctive look, very distinctive voice, but really, again, going back to, and of course you got people like Paul Newman and all the people, the voice actors and all that. But it really comes back down to the story. So for me, excellent movie. I thought it was an excellent choice. Something that was extremely enjoyable to watch, and actually something that I truly was emotionally moved.
Yeah,
and
me
that's
too.
Pretty crazy.
I didn't expect to be.
I didn't either.
She
actually
is the
did
mom
not.
in Cheaper by the Dozen.
Is she?
Yeah,
okay.
That's
right. And what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy I went back and watched it. I think the movie's kind of been what's the word I'm looking for? Not immortal. Yeah, immortalized by these little moments and memes and stuff like I Am Speed,
right,
or Ka-Chow,
right,
or a lot of times people will post when they lower their cars and stuff. They'll post a little clip of when Mater slams to the ground.
Yes,
it's just all sparks out the back and he's smiling.
Right.
When I was a kid, definitely pit stop was like a little thing, like pit stop. Just saying pit stop real quick. But I think it was. I enjoyed going back and rewatching it a lot more than I thought. It's probably been about 10 years since I sat down and watched the whole thing.
For me, too.
I think it's always funny that we should point out with a lot of movies, because we watched them in the car as a kid, you've heard them a lot more. You've probably heard the movie Cars more times than you've seen it, because me and my brother would watch it in the back seat, because we had the DVD player in the I almost said RX-7 in the Pacifica.
What's funny about that too is that I know only the audio from Cheaper by the Dozen. I couldn't tell you any scene.
On DVD. Yeah, that was the first dual-sided DVD that we had. That was widescreen on one side.
Yes,
I think 4:3 on the other.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that was like one of those weird year.
And it was one that we played over and over. And I remember, I think it was our trip to South Dakota.
Probably,
And it was something, again, that I heard like a million times.
Yeah.
Also, Will Ferrell. Do you remember Will Ferrell?
Yes, the SNL's Best of Will Ferrell.
Best of Will Ferrell. I remember like all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it has it was like a yellow cover. And and the seat back pockets were filled with movies.
Oh, yeah. It was
Austin
great.
Powers Goldmember.
Yes, exactly.
It was the Best of Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
I just remember the cheerleader skit.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely Cheaper by the Dozen. Anchorman, but Mom would not let us watch Anchorman. So I never saw Anchorman until like 10 years after it came out.
Yeah, she's a much better parent than I am.
Yeah, probably. But it is what it is. Yeah, but no, I think this was really worth going back and look. Like, as a car enthusiast, you think, animated Pixar movie about cars, blah, blah. They don't know anything.
Right.
No, they really did their research. And
Absolutely.
It was very enjoyable now, being someone who's so involved in the automotive world.
Mm-hmm.
As myself, going back and actually catching all of these references.
Yeah, I mean, I literally
just been great.
I made a bag of popcorn and enjoyed it. It was it was a great movie. So
and you're like a 90-year-old adult. So
wow, I went from like, oh my gosh, wow, okay.
Episode 8, I'm gonna be like, you're a 160-year-old adult.
True, that's how I feel like it.
But yeah, those are our thoughts on Cars. I want to get to this next movie.
All right.
I genuinely don't know what's coming. I don't know. Yeah. Here are my thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
I think
what do you think?
I think it's going to be a really offbeat B movie. I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be anything. I don't think it's going to be Too Fast, Too Furious. I don't think it's going to be
Citizen Kane. That's what it's Citizen Kane.
There even
go ahead.
cars in that movie?
I think so.
There's a really
Rosebud.
funny scene. You never watched New Girl with Mom, did you?
No, I never did.
There's a really funny scene where one of the characters is colorblind.
Oh.
And he's like, I want to see all my favorite movies in color, like Citizen Kane. And all the guys are like, got some bad news for you, bud. That one's still black and white.
Yeah.
But yeah, my guess is it's going to be a very obscure movie that I have either A, never heard of, or B, never seen.
Well, I'll tell you, it is an obscure movie because I've not seen it.
Oh.
I have not. That's why I'm so excited about this one.
Okay.
I've not seen this movie, but it is touted by, and you know it's good because it was touted by reviewers on Amazon.
Oh God! All right, we're in the studio, obviously in Radiator Springs, but where did you hide this movie?
Oh, it's in the workroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't have. I mean, do you want me to pause it and I can go? get it?
No. Don't pause it. I'll just vamp while you go get it.
All right.
So put your mic down. Go get it.
I'm gonna go
pick it up. I'm thinking because we had a lot of conversation about the original Fast and Furious or how Speed Zone. I was thinking like Speed Zone. Did you find Speed Zone? I swear to God. I don't know what it is. He's smiling like an idiot. Uh-oh. I can't even read it from here.
No, I don't want you to read it from there.
Okay.
Okay. I've got it now. This is actually going to really like this. By the way, speaking of Speed Zone.
Okay.
Speed Zone actually is the official Cannonball Run 3.
Right.
But they call it Speed Zone. In fact, when the credits come up, and by the way, we can get that movie.
Yeah.
So we can watch it.
In Mexico, it was sold as Cannonball Run 3.
Okay.
But
not
here, it was sold as Speed Zone.
Yes, and mostly starred people from Second City. Eugene Levy, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, all the people from Second City TV at the time.
SCTV,
Yeah, SCTV. But anyway.
What is this?
So the name of it is the Gumball Rally.
Oh,
have you ever heard of it?
So the Gumball Rally is a real rally.
Is it?
I know that.
Okay.
The Gumball 3000 is a very, very famous rally. Growing up, that was the hot, cool thing, was the Gumball Rally, the Gumball 3000.
Okay, so here it says a hilarious coast-to-coast 180-mile-an-hour outrageous road race, and it's all just for glory and a gumball machine.
Oh.
So, anyway, it is the Gumball Rally. However, what I'm not showing you the cover yet because it's a double feature. The other part of it is Cannonball Run 2.
Oh no.
So the DVD I have is it's a double feature comedy.
Combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, baby.
Yeah. Exactly. It is the Gumball Rally and Cannonball Run 2. So I want to do the next one, Gumball Rally, because I want to watch a Gumball Rally. The
next movie we're doing is the
Gumball Rally. Yes. But we also have Cannonball Run 2 at some point.
That if you want to pick that, that's all you.
I want to do Cannonball, or I want to do Gumball Rally.
Yeah.
And at some point, maybe Cannonball Run 2.
Because this is episode 4.
Yes.
So I'm picking the even numbered episodes.
Are you? Okay.
The subject matter of the even episodes. Because next one will be 5, and that's your pick.
Mine. Right, exactly.
It was your pick.
Yes.
So,
so
episode 5
it's very complicated. I'm not sure I could follow that.
Also, I don't know if I told you this. All of the because you have zero control over the creative process of this.
Right,
show.
Absolutely nothing.
All of the thumbnails and stuff I've been drawing by hand.
What?
Yeah. So I forgot to tell you.
Wow.
This.
No, you didn't tell me that.
So each video, like the card that is up on the screen while we're talking.
Yeah.
I've hand drawn. So I was drawing. Why it was a little late today.
Wow.
I was hand drawing a Countach, which is so hard.
Yes,
I feel terrible for kids growing up in the 70s in their math notebooks trying to draw that freaking thing.
Yes, and it's not an easy.
I mean, I'm even looking at our poster of one. There's so many vents, and the windows are weird. Blah, blah,
it's
whatever.
a very different looking car.
I just drew a red Countach, and then I had to draw Lightning McQueen before this, and it was.
Ka-chow.
I really thought about doing his eyes cross-eyed, but I decided not to.
Ka-chow.
The Gumball Rally.
The Gumball Rally will be the next one, and
right.
I am excited because people say that it's actually better than the original Cannonball Run. They said it was a much better movie, much cooler cars, and it was. So I'm curious to see what this is all about.
Do we have any celebs in there? Like,
we
is there
have
a cast list?
Gumball Rally. No, you know what?
No, I mean, like, is there any any notable?
Let's see. Gary Busey.
No. Wait, what year is this movie from?
Yeah, it is. So I don't know.
When did Gary Busey go insane, or was he just born like that? I've only ever known Gary Busey as like this insane crackhead of a person.
Yeah, he's kind of. I think he's always been kind of like that. Let's see.
You know what? Save it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me who's in it.
Well,
I'm just gonna watch it. I'm gonna go into this movie completely blank. I'm not gonna do any research.
I'm not. Okay, good, because I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna watch Gumball Rally without any preconceived notions or anything, and just watch it and then see, and then we'll see.
This might be something we might want to work it out where I'll actually watch the movie with you, and like this second the credits roll, we just hit record.
Oh, okay. Well, we could do that. We could try that.
Yeah.
We could try that. I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, it would be fun to try that as an experiment of what we can do here. Because, and just to get our initial reactions, like immediately.
Yeah.
After the film. And again, this actual DVD is available on Amazon. Shout out to Amazon.
Shout out Amazon. I guess it got good reviews.
Yeah.
I would like to do Cannonball Run 2 eventually.
Yeah. And even 3 Speed Zone. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think that would be a good one to do. But, yeah, I was excited because I got that in the mail. And like, oh, yeah.
How much was it?
It was like $9 or something like that.
Okay, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Because I've been thinking about one movie, but it's fairly recent.
Okay.
And it like online, it's like $25, and I'm like, maybe we just wait on that one.
Well, either that or
try to rent on Amazon for cheaper.
Yeah, if you want to rent it, or we can I'll give you the money.
Thanks. Thanks. I'll take your $3.
That's what dads are for.
Yeah,
you know?
every penny counts.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But yeah, here, pass me the.
All right, so here we go. All right, you're gonna. There it is. So
the Gumball Rally. It looks like there's an AC Cobra on the front.
Yeah, there is. There's an AC Cobra.
It looks like a Porsche 914 in pink.
Lots
Bentley.
of really cool cars.
It looks like a ripoff of the Bluesmobiles in the back.
Could be.
It looks like a Monaco police car.
Could be. There's a lot of like Ford LTD police cars in the movie, I think. I'm not sure.
The orange car looks like a Porsche Speedster.
Yeah. So we're just going. We're just literally looking at the cover right now. But it'll be fun to see lots of good reviews on it. And so what?
Cannonball Run 2 includes full screen version.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it says.
Yeah.
But the Gumball Rally includes widescreen version, theatrical trailer, English and French, subtitles in English, French. Did I say French?
French.
That's a new dressing I like to use.
That's delicious.
Or Spanish.
Yes.
So
again, I think.
I understand why it was hard to read these names.
Yeah, it's
why is that a font? Why do movies do that font at the bottom of everything? Where the letters are super tall and skinny.
Yeah, it's a matter of trying to just fit everything on there because there are, I believe, contractual obligations.
Oh, because they have to squeeze everything.
Yes, they have to squeeze everything.
Hey, good news! Sammy Davis Jr. returns in Cannonball Run 2
to reprise his
role of. On the back here, it looks like that's a Ford Courier.
Is it
pickup truck?
All right, good.
Because it shares a platform and bed with the Mazda Ripu, which was the rotary engine pickup truck.
Oh, okay,
So that
totally.
bed, those are pretty rare right now, and they're driving over it with a motorcycle. And then there's also a monster truck driving over a Porsche 928.
Excellent, nice.
Which is a car I really want to drive.
Okay, well, it sounds good. All right, so there we go. The next one, the Gumball Rally.
Yeah, the Gumball Rally. Thank you for listening to this podcast about cars.
Yeah.
I love the movie. I'm really glad we did it. And I think Cars 2 and 3 will be in our future eventually.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. And we'll see you next episode with the Gumball Rally.
See you next time.